Hello, I'm Karen Welch with Panhandle PBS, and I want to welcome you to a new thing we've got going here. We call it 806ology. It's your place to come every week for in-depth conversations about issues and programs that affect the people of Amarillo and the Texas Panhandle. We're live streaming at 10 a.m. every Wednesday. You can also go back on our Facebook page to watch previous episodes and catch up. We'll be adding other necessary discussions to the mix as needed. And here with me today is City Communications Coordinator Jesse Patton and Transit Director Marita Welledge-Riley. Thank you both for being here. I wanted to specifically talk about this. There was an Amarillo City Council action on Tuesday that moves some transit planning and bus planning. I think that's been needed at the city for quite some time. I don't think anybody would dispute. It moved that forward. So tell me what the council decided last night.
Well, the council approved an application to TxDOT for a new transit facility that will include Greyhound and maybe some other local operators who would be operating out of that facility with us.
Okay, and it works, it's a percentage matching from the city?
Yes, well, it was a $300,000, we estimate that's what we'll take to do the study. And then the city has a portion of that, which would be $60,000,
okay,
at 20% of the project.
Okay, and I want to talk about multimodal and Greyhound and all these other possibilities in a moment. But first, let's kind of set this up with where we are. You've been here about 7 or 8 months.
Yes.
And you've got an interesting story because you came here with family ties.
I did. My husband grew up here, and I fell in love with him because he was from Amarillo. He talked so fondly of the place that I welcomed the opportunity to come back.
Okay, and you have extensive experience though in transit planning, so give me a little idea of your background.
Well, I have 44 years I started in Cincinnati, Ohio, working in planning, and I have been a general manager of an operation, both in private sector and also then the work at the local government in Cincinnati.
Okay, and I think most people would understand your last post in, I guess, in city work was before you were a consultant for some time. It was DART?
Yes, DART in Dallas, and I ran a 110 vehicle paratransit operation for DART.
Okay, that's a large operation. And paratransit
is what our Spectran is here.
So it's people with special needs or
yes,
needs in the ability in getting around.
That's right.
Okay. We've talked about strategic planning for some time at the city, and there's been numerous conversations about problems with the bus system, the long length of time it takes to get somewhere, the ability to cover enough areas of the city, the cost, all of those things. What did you find when you first came, and then what led to this planning effort?
Well, the approach was not what I would call a transit approach. It was more a social service agency approach. And I've tried to bring a transit focus so that we operate more like a transit agency. We run on time, we offer reliable service, and so that has been my focus. And then also looking at some of the improvements that we can make to modernize our operation.
We've had, this is the first time in we haven't had a plan
25
in 25 years.
Yeah,
yes.
it's been a very long time, and you see that citywide and department-wide, where we have this council that wants to move forward, and we have this new city staff that wants to bring in their experience and add to what we have. And with all these new plans, well, we have to update the stuff that we have. Like Marita's is 25 years old. The planning one is from the 60s. And so the council's moving forward on it, city staff is moving forward on it. It's still going to take time, and it's going to take some serious effort for these studies, because you're talking about binders that are this thick just to get one plan together. But they're coming, and that's kind of why we wanted to talk about this, because we still need that communication avenue with the public, because yeah, we're talking about a multimodal facility, but what should we use in it?
Right.
Should we add Greyhound? Should we add bike lanes? Should we do some sort of bike sharing thing? So that communication avenue back to the city helps us serve our citizens better.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, how did the planning begin? You have a consultant, and
There was a
then,
consultant report, and I was part of that consulting team.
okay.
And so I had some idea of some of the issues that needed to be addressed here. And that was finished in June of last year. And so it gave us ideas on route design. And we've been taking their recommended routes and then doing running time checks, seeing how to schedule the service, seeing whether there was anything missed on any of the routes. And the whole purpose was to make them more direct, because that's what the citizen outreach told us. Was stakeholders said it has to be more direct. It can't take so long to get across the
We have
city.
a lot of windy routes.
That's right. And so right now we have 8 routes. And what we did was they broke them into 13 routes. And everything will still meet in downtown at our current transfer facility. But they won't be loopy and go round and round, just like you said.
And you have a number of stops then that it looks like wouldn't be included. So
Well,
what are you
there's-
telling people the trade-off is?
Well, the trade-off is that you can walk a little further, but you'll get there faster.
I was looking at some of the times in here, shaving an hour off of some of these
Yeah.
things. It's crazy to think, where is that? To go from AC, we're here on the Washington Street campus of Amarillo College, to go from this campus to the AC West campus on Southwest 9th. The current round trip time was 3 hours and 15 minutes.
That's correct.
So you could cut that down to 2 hours.
No,
Or no, to 1 hour.
an
1 hour
hour.
and 8, I'm reading the wrong column.
Right.
To 1 hour, a little
Yes.
over. And with the same thing with people who live out in northeast Amarillo or North Amarillo at Jason Street, at some of those apartments, the apartments for low and moderate income families, to get to the Walmart on Grand Street, change that from 2 hours to an hour.
Yes. And the people in the North Heights area will be able to get to the Walmart out on Tascosa Road in 30 minutes.
Yes, yes. And so we're talking huge differences in I would think in the lives. I can't imagine taking a 2 or 3 hour round trip to get my groceries.
And it makes it very difficult for people who are transit dependent.
Right.
And so that's we do serve people who are transit dependent, but our goal is to have a valuable transit operation, because employers benefit from our being able to get their people to work. People need to get groceries, and so we use the ice cream test. You don't want anybody to wait too long, because they can't get ice cream because it'll melt. So
Okay, so with these routes, first of all, about how many riders do we have using our system?
we carry about 30,000 trips a month.
Okay, okay. And that's just fixed route?
No, that's fixed route and paratransit.
Okay.
Fixed route is anywhere, it varies between 26,000 and 28,000, and then about 3,000 a month for paratransit.
And these proposed route changes are also changing a little bit of the way you do the paratransit.
That's right.
So what would change there?
Well, our service area is from Lakewood, or Lakeview, and then down to the entire service area of the city.
City limits.
For Spectran service. So the service area does not change, and it really doesn't change our Spectran service very much. It really not at all.
How does Spectrans? How does it work as far as people who want to get on that bus?
It's required by the Americans with Disabilities Act, and so there are definitions as to what makes you eligible. So people apply to ACE Act, which is Amarillo City Transit, and they either meet the criteria or they don't. If they do, then they are registered and they become our passengers.
Okay, and then they do this by reservation?
Yes, we are required to provide service on up to, if people call 24 hours in advance. And we take reservations up to 7 days in advance.
Okay. And none of these are very large fares we charge for this?
No, we don't. Our regular fixed route fare is 75 cents. We do have discount fares for seniors and then for people with disabilities. Our paratransit or SpecTran fare is $1.50, which is double the regular
because it's basically
fare.
door to door.
That's correct.
It's not drop you at a bus stop and let you get where you're going nearby.
Right.
Okay. So how do we change this then? Because I mean we're reliant on federal and state subsidies, I guess,
Yes.
for the operation of the system,
Yes.
as well as for and then is it city
City funded.
city funds for buses? I mean, for the purchase of the buses themselves?
Buses are also federally and state funded.
Okay.
We have, in the next several years, we'll be buying new buses, and we have about $2.4 million that's already been approved by City Council, and we have the federal funds to match that. So they'll be coming, it takes 2 years to get a bus.
Wow.
And so we write
Why
this.
so long?
Well, we write the specs, and because of the federal procurement regulations, it takes a lot
Okay.
of
2
time.
years to get a bus.
Yes, it does.
Wow. So how are we still looking at the smaller size buses that we have now? Or?
We're looking at they're approximately same length, but
Mm-hmm.
they'll be low floor and they will kneel and have ramps, so we won't have wheelchair lifts. So
Okay.
it will speed up our operations because
Right.
we do have a number of people who are in wheelchairs and who have mobility issues that ride
Mm-hmm.
the regular fixed routes.
Okay. So multimodal.
Multimodal. That means that
It's my favorite
it's
part.
not just it's just not public transit as far as local public transit, but other regional operators who would be using the facility, including Greyhound. And Greyhound's excited to go to pursue this with us.
Has Greyhound done this before in other cities?
Oh yes, Wichita Falls, Lubbock, all have multimodal facilities, and it's something that the state has promoted.
Okay. And they're kind of cramped where they are and want some
Yes,
changes.
they're constrained. They have, essentially, they have 2 bays that they can have buses come in and unload and load, but they have 5 that come in at one time.
Right.
And so it makes it difficult.
They're there across from the Chase Tower.
Yes,
and there's
they are.
issues with people parking to be able to pick up passengers
Exactly,
and things like
yes.
that. How would we take the multimodal and the approach of finding a property for it, and that's what all this
That's what
TechStart
this
grant would help
Yes,
with?
that's what the project is all about. We'll do a needs assessment. What does Greyhound need? What do any of the other operators that would join us, the Panhandle services, and any number of regional carriers that might come in and join us, and define what space needs they have and what amenities they need in a facility. Then we would look for sites that would accommodate that, and then we'll do some schematic designs as to how it would be laid out. Then we do an environmental assessment once we found a property that would suit the needs. And that is the kind of the sum total of the project that we've just been approved to pursue.
At one point, there was discussion a few years ago about the old Santa Fe Depot being a potential multimodal facility, especially when there was conversation about Amtrak coming. The federal budget proposal now has Amtrak getting cut, so let's not start all of that. But what are we still looking at with the Santa Fe Depot?
With the Santa Fe Depot, to my understanding, plans are on hold right now, and that includes the Liberty Theater as well, and the Civic Center for that matter. Portions of those facilities and their remodels or their reuse were part of the 2016 bonds. Since those bonds were voted down,
Right.
We have to go back to the drawing board and find that additional funding before we can can rework those facilities, which is one of the reasons why grants like this, whether TxDOT or federal or state, are so important to our departments, because it helps us get the things that we need while not raising taxes or adding fees or raising the 75 cents that you would need to ride the bus. And that even translates over into departments like public health, where they get grants for immunizations. And so we can offer things for like $10 to get immunized. And so the importance behind it is that we finally can apply for these grants and get the money and then make use of it, so that maybe we can expand into those facilities like the Santa Fe Depot. And if the assessment says that, hey, we can actually use this, then I'm sure we'll look at it and say, what's the environment around it? What can we put into it?
Right. You were looking like you had an answer for that question as well.
Well, you know, we can't predetermine where we're going to go.
Right.
So, because the space needs might not work.
Right. With this grant from TxDOT, the other possibility is that then that helps them look at us further for funding because we've planned?
Well, yes, it may. What we've are applying for is a 2-year cycle grant. And so the next opportunity to apply for additional funds would be 2 years hence, so in the 2020.
Okay.
And TxDOT has been a wonderful partner for us, and they've helped us in many aspects of our operation. They've funded remodeling of our facilities. We're buying some maintenance equipment now with TxDOT funds. So.
And you're also doing some work to improve the fleet or extend the life of your fleet on your own.
One of the reasons we haven't been able to implement the master plan is that we've had to replace engines in 8 vehicles. So once we get those done, then we'll set a date for implementation of the master plan.
What's the useful life of a bus?
Well, 250,000 miles. It varies by manufacturer, but 250,000 miles is typical. And we are over the 250,000 miles on those vehicles, and we're close to 300,000. So, you know, credit to the maintenance department. They've been keeping them running that long.
Yes, we like to give the shout outs. Thank you both for joining us for 806ology today. We'll stream live here at 10 a.m. every Wednesday. And you can join us there. You can also go back on our Facebook page to find previous episodes and catch up on them. See you next time.
Thank you.